Good morning, beautiful souls. This is Bobby coming to you again today with another lesson of the light. And today's lesson is called, Who Cares for the Caregiver? At some point in our lives, we all are caregivers. Whether it's for our children, or possibly an aging parent, or maybe even an illness or an accident that happened to a spouse. But at some point in time, we all must care for another. And of course we do it out of compassion and love, but it doesn't mean that it's not an extremely demanding and taxing thing for us. So the thing that we need to remember is we all have the capacity to do this. However, the best thing that we can remember is to be able to ask for assistance sometimes, even if it's a shoulder, even if it's to have coffee with somebody, even if it's to say, oh, yeah, you're taking care of your mom and I'm taking care of my mom, and, let's compare some notes. And sometimes that's a necessary thing. You have to have assistance, you have to have an ear, you have to have somebody to listen to you. But the most important thing is you need to be able to care for you. And there was one time when I was, I married, like in my early 30s, and I married someone who had two boys. He was a widower and he had two boys. And of course, I love them. I call them my boys, not my stepsons. But I will tell you that it was challenging. It was challenging. And I used to kid with some of my coworkers and say I should wear a badge that says I survived the teenage years. Because, again, we've all been there too, I've told people before, that my boys were taken from me when they were in junior high and replaced with pod people. And they came back into their own bodies right around their early 20s. Because it's like, oh no, that's not my son. I don't recognize that person that's there right now. But yes, we survived it. We got to the other side of that. And it was a task. But we made it. And what I also learned was in times when I had some real challenges, my husband at the time was out of town, and so I was the mom and the dad. And when we got married, I had taken on a new job, moved to a new city, had a new family and new responsibilities, and something had to give. And so I ended up seeing a counselor, and that counselor asked me what I did for fun. And I said, what are you talking about? What do I do for fun? I said, who's got time for fun? I said, I'm a new mom. I've got a new job. Sometimes my husband's out of town, and so I'm mom and dad. And I finish my work, I come home, and I make sure that they're okay, and, and be the mom and dad at the same time. And I said, who has time for fun? And so she said, well, what did you used to do for fun? And I said, well, I used to, get together with my girlfriend, and we'd go out and have dinner and have a few laughs, or go to a movie and rehash over old times, and we had a great time. And she said, well, I want you to do that again. And I said, what are you talking about? What if my husband's called out of town, and what's going to happen? And she said, well, I'm not telling you that you have to do this, Bobby, but what I am saying is, when everybody comes to the well, eventually the well runs dry. And then you can't be there for anybody. So you need to fill yourself up again. You need to do something to take care of you, something that brings you joy. It can't be all work and responsibility. So I went home that day, and my husband asked me, how did the session go with the counselor? And I said, I'm going to Gwen's this weekend. And he said, what are you talking about? And I said, well, I need to take care of me. I need to do it for my own, self-preservation. And I said, I wasn't asking permission. I just thought that you might want to know where I was. So he ended up saying, he said, well, what happens if I get called out of town? And I said, well, I guess what you need to do is do what you did before I came into the picture. I said, because, again, it's not a question, it's not a request, it's a statement. And I'll be gone for the weekend, and then I'll be back. So it turned out that, I conditioned them all to depend on me. And then when they all depended on me for everything, then I knew that that was something that I had to recondition. And it wasn't easy, but it was possible and probable, and then it happened. So take care of you. It's important to take care of you. And so after I raised my children, and then I ended up raising, I don't want to say raising, but taking care of my grandmother for several years. And then I ended up taking care of my mom when she had dementia and she couldn't be alone. And it was, taxing. I know a couple of people right now, very good friends of mine, who are caregiving for one for their parent and another for their spouse. And I feel their strain. I relate to that, and my heart goes out to them. And I always tell them, not only am I here for you if you ever need anything, but make sure that you give yourself that time. Make sure that you do. You don't want to lose yourself in caring for someone else, and it can so easily happen. It can also happen that if you don't do that, you're going to end up resenting what you're doing and resenting the person that can't help their condition. So you don't want it to get to that point. But I want to tell you that there are those here along your path that are here to help and to express their compassion and to extend the empathy that they know that that is relatable. So, yeah. Who takes care of the caregiver? You have to. It has to be you. So again, when that counselor asked me, when she said, what do I do for fun? And I said I didn't have time. The other thing she asked me is, you take care of the husband, the house, the kids, the dog, the pool, the bills, and the everyday, operations. And who takes care of you? And tears came down my face when she asked me that. And I said, I take care of me. And that's when she said, don't let the well run dry. Don't let the well run dry, because there won't be anything left for you or for anyone else. So my message to the caregivers is, don't let that well run dry. Don't lose yourself. Reach out, ask for help. It's there for you. We've all been there, or we will. So My hat's off to you, my compassion for you. Thank you for doing what you do. It's the hardest job anybody ever had. Again, thank you for that. And we'll talk again soon. Bye-bye.